that are formed when you add a preposition, an adverb, or an adverb to a verb, and thus creating a different meaning. That means that you have the verb itself, and this preposition or adverb, it should come after the main verb. Most of the preposition should come after the verb, not before the verb. So, for example, I ran into my friend yesterday. So the words in bold that is read into, that is our phrasal verb. uh, Phrasal verbs usually have a different meaning compared to the usual meaning of individual words. That means that ran is the past tense of run. Into, it means to go inside something. Now, when you combine these two words, that is ran and into, the result of this combination is a phrasal verb. But this phrasal verb will not have a similar meaning to the individual words, but it will have a different meaning which is unique to that verb, that phrasal verb itself. So we have, I ran into my friend yesterday. So ran into as a phrasal verb, it means to meet unexpectedly. So into the past tense, so it will be met unexpectedly. So you should also be keen on the tense. If it's the phrasal verb is in the present tense, the meaning is in the present tense. If it is in the past tense, the meaning is also in the past tense. So these phrasal verbs are usually followed by an object. Now remember, the object comes after the main verb or after the verb. And we learned this in our previous grammar lesson where we looked at the transitive verbs and the intransitive verbs. So just a short recap on what we discussed. We said that transitive verbs, these are verbs that act on direct objects or they act on the objects directly. For example, you can say that the teacher ate the food. So ate, that is a transitive verb because now the food has been done to direct action of being eaten. But if you say the teacher, how do I put it? If you say that the teacher drove to school, that is an intransitive verb because now drove cannot be acted on school directly. So that is an intransitive verb whereby the direct object is a car, but this one shows an indirect result, that is to school. So here we wrote transitive verbs having direct objects and intransitive verbs they are lacking direct objects. So for example, you can use our phrasal verb to come up with a good example. Here we have I ran into my friend yesterday. So ran into is a transitive verb because the action of running into was done to the friend. Then the next one we have, did the doctor show up? That is an intransitive verb because the action of showing up does not have a direct object. Okay, because it has come now at the end. So we continue. So here, uh, you can also say they can appear in two ways. Now these are the phrasal verbs. They can appear in two ways. So the first way that they can appear is the words follow each other. What I mean by the words following each other is that the main verb and the preposition or the adverb will follow each other, one after the other. Like in our first example here, we have the doctor put out the fire in the dressing room. That is, put out is our phrasal verb. So remember, to put out, it means to extinguish as a phrasal verb, put out. So the other way that we can write phrasal verbs is the words are separated by an object, or there are some words which appear between the two, the verb and the preposition. So here we have the doctor put the fire out in the dressing room. So you see, put it out have been separated by the object, which is fire. So those are the two ways that we are able to write our prepositions. Then we move on. Uh, so we have some of the common examinable phrasal verbs, but remember, these are not the only ones that we have as phrasal verbs. We have many, many more, but these are just some that we look at. The first one we have, ask somebody out, which means is to invite on a date, that is ask out. So it can be that Jane asked John out. That's a date. Or it can be Jane was asked out by John. That is also a phrasal verb. The next one we have ask around. Now to ask around, this is to ask several people the same question. And remember, this same question requires a similar answer for you to come up with a conclusive decision on what you're going to do. Then the third one says add up to into brackets something, which shows to equal to something or to amount to something. So we can say that the 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 football team's point added up to them being promoted into the Champions League. So to add up, imeongezeka, now it is equal to them having a promotion. So here we can have other examples. So we have some of the common phrasal verbs that are usually tested in KCSE. One we have something, put something off, which means to postpone, whereby you can be told that the meeting was put off by the chairman. So it simply means to postpone. Then you have to put something out, just like above here we have to put out. We say that that is to extinguish. So I won't use that one. Then you have put something together, put something together. Now to put something together, this one means to assemble. So you can say that the principal put together a search party to go and look for the thief. That is to assemble, like people who can do that specific activity. The next one we have to put up with, put up with, put up with, put up with. Also, somebody or something. So to put up with somebody or something, it means to tolerate. Tolerate that person. Whereby even if they are causing you harm or they are being an inconvenience to you, so what do? You say that I have to put up with so and so. Then the next one we have run out. Run out is a phrasal verb. So to run out means to have none left. Have none left. So you can say that while preparing breakfast, I realized that I had ran out of toast, meaning that there's no more bread left for you to eat. Then let's look at two, and then we can move on. Then here we have take after. Take take after somebody. Take after somebody. Now to take after, it means to resemble. Means to resemble a family member. To resemble a family member. So this one's we usually say that the child took after his father. That means that the child resembled the father in all ways. And the last one we have take off. So this one take off is to start to fly, or so we have start to fly. That's one. Start to fly. Start to fly. That is one. To take off. That's for a plane. Another one can be to start moving rapidly. E.g., the thief took off when he saw the mob approaching Maramoja. But if we say take something off, take something off. Now this one means to remove something or to remove something, specifically clothes. To remove something, specifically clothes. So you take off your pullover, you take off your t-shirts. Uh-huh. Now let's move on. So while we were in class, we had an example. So example one was dash. It was fill in the blanks with the appropriate, or dash the blanks with the appropriate words. Into brackets, it was fill. So the ones who are present, they give me the answer. Fill in the blanks with appropriate words. Number two was his child's teeth started to dash at the age of 6. So it became his child's teeth started to fall out at the age of 6. Now, this phrasal verb fall out can have more than one meaning. It can have more than one meaning. So, for example, fallout can be separate from an interior, that is, the teeth coming out, or it can also mean to become loose and unattached, that is, teeth and hair to fall out. That's how. Now, when you separate, e.g., if let's say if you're a person who listens to, sorry, who watches movies, you can hear that the army people, they usually told either to fall in or to fall out. Now, if it's to fall out, it means to break rank and move in any way that you feel it's fit. But fall in means to come back to the set down rules and regulations. And if it's a line, make a line. Or if it's to assemble, you assemble. Number three, do not dash me dash when I am listening to music. Cut. So here we have do not cut me off when I'm listening to music. Do not cut me off when I'm listening to music. So to cut off, it means to stop providing the music. That's one. Then, apart from to stop abruptly, cut off also mean to remove with something sharp. So you can say that the doctor cut off the cancerous cells from the man's back. So to remove with something sharp. Then the other one can mean to, when you cut somebody off, it means you remove them from close to you. So if a friend is toxic, you cut them off. Now. And another one, let's say if you have written your own will and then you see that one of your children is misbehaving and they're only waiting for you to die and take your money, you can cut them off your will. That means that you take them off your will and they will not inherit anything that you have. Next one we have Kimutai dash malaria last week. Come, two brackets come. So here the answer we used was Kimutai came down with malaria last week. Now, the change of tense from present to past tense was because of this word last week, meaning it's already in the past. So we can't say Kimutai come down with. We'll say Kimutai came down with malaria last week. Came down with malaria last week. That is the tense. Now, this verb come has other phrasal verbs that I can just hint them to you. One, we have to come across something, which means to unexpectedly find something. That is to come across. Then you have to come apart. Come apart means to separate from the bigger section, or just to disintegrate. That is to come apart. The next one we have come down with, which you've used here, means to become sick. Then you have to come forward. Now, to come forward is to give evidence or volunteer to do something. That is to come forward. Now, the last one we have my uncle dash second-hand clothes. So here we discussed and we came up with the answer. My uncle deals in second-hand clothes. Deals